All right, maybe Will Brinson will know. Senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com. He sorts the Sunday pile. It's a Thursday. We have no pile. We have a pile of schedule reveals. Do you remember the soap opera that Rick Springfield was on for a long time?
I mean, no, but I would just guess like Bold and Beautiful.
No, I don't, it was an ABC. I think it might have been General Hospital. He played a doctor.
Well, that's probably General Hospital then.
Yeah, it could have been General. Well, there's doctors in every soap opera. All right, sir. Let's start with the trade. You and I have not spoken now. It's got to be 2.5 weeks or so. I wanted way too long, and I'm mad because Rory McIlroy is playing poorly today. He is 2 over.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought we were talking PGA Championship, but football's fine. No, Rory. Rory was the prohibitive favorite coming in for good reason. Yeah. Like mentally, the Masters, winning the Masters took everything off the plate mentally. But we've seen Rory, particularly last week, and then again today. I think I'm not sure what it was, what he's at right now, but he was at 2 of 10 fairways hit, and 3 of those balls could have gone in the water.
Yeah.
Like, if Rory's not driving the ball well, he won't win this tournament, and he might not. He'll probably make the cut, but it'll be close.
Well, right now he's going to be in the bottom quarter of the field, but he's going to go out. He's going to shoot 63 tomorrow, so we'll be fine. All right,
he's still 14 to 1 to win. He's right there.
Yeah, well, he shouldn't be 14 to 1 to win right now. All right, let me get to the trade of the Dallas Cowboys with the Pittsburgh Steelers to bring in George Pickens. Was this the trade, do you think, that Jerry Jones was forecasting? We're looking at serious trades. Is this the serious trade you think he was thinking about, or did they make it after the fact because they got to do something?
So I'll give the Cowboys credit on this one. I think, for me, when you look at evaluating your offseason and how you handle it as a franchise, as a front office, you really shouldn't look at free agency. This should be obvious, I guess, but don't look at free agency in the draft as 2 independent events where they need to work together. Your free agency decisions should impact your draft decisions, and vice versa to a degree. Now, you should still take the best players available. Don't get me wrong. You don't want to be drafting for need because you signed a bunch of guys at one position, but during free agency, in those talks where there's all these trade rumors at the combine and people are available and all the stuff leading up to the draft, the Cowboys correctly ascertained that there would be a market for talented veteran, wide receivers, even like if Pickens is an up and down guy.
Yeah.
We saw DK Metcalf get traded. And so they made the decision to look at other areas in the draft, particularly offensive line in the first round, and then not to reach for a receiver because it was a position of need, not to reach for one because they believed they could find a receiver in a trade after the draft. And so, I think the whole process they utilized for this was pretty good. I think Pickens is kind of a really nice number 2. He tried to be a number 1 in Pittsburgh, just didn't work out. He's more of a straight line burner down the field.
Yeah.
Sort of make a couple big contested catches. I think he works really well with CeeDee Lamb, particularly if they put Lamb, in the slot as much as they will, and let Pickens kind of work as the vertical guy on the outside. You have to think, too, Dallas likely had a pretty good grade on Pickens coming out of the draft.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Originally.
Yeah, because, he was that talented, and he had the ACL injury at Georgia, which pushed him down the draft board. He ended up being like a 3rd round or 4th round pick, right?
Yeah. He's got a really good pedigree and an incredible skill set. Volatile guy. I think it's probably best for everybody involved, DK, Pickens, and the Steelers, not to mention future Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers, more than likely, that those 2 guys aren't on the same team, because that's like a fight club of NFL wide receivers.
Will Brinson is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show. All right, you said more than likely Aaron Rodgers. It has to be, right? They can't possibly go into the season with Mason Rudolph.
No, the rhetoric that now look, it's still it's still possible Rodgers retires.
Right.
But I would set the odds at like minus 500 that he signs with the Steelers. And by the way, for NC State fans listening, if you're thinking about making that trip to Pittsburgh to see the Wolfpack play the Panthers in October, the week before Halloween, that Sunday night game, Week 8 in the NFL, Packers at Steelers. Aaron Rodgers' potential revenge game if you're interested in hanging around. Just worth noting.
That's right. And the Steelers are playing at the Jets. Talk about a revenge game in Week 1.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I mean, both those games, I think, are in prime time. Maybe Steelers and Jets isn't. I mean, obviously Packers and Steelers is. When the NFL does stuff like that, it indicates that everybody involved sort of knows that this is a likely outcome. And I just think unless Rodgers retires, the Steelers have a clear need. And Rodgers, really only has one destination, and to me, it's one of those things where, all right, if he signs right now, then there's a lot of focus on him. There's a lot of focus on whatever he's doing this offseason. There's a lot of focus on the Steelers. Whereas if he signs a little bit down the road, closer to training camp or past OTAs, there's not going to be this whole discussion about exactly what he's supposed to be there for and when he's supposed to be there. So it sort of takes that aspect out of play by kicking the can down the road.
Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com, normally sorts the Sunday pile. Just lighten the mood a little bit. What did you think of the Panthers draft video, or about a schedule video, with Xavier Leggett? First of all, the subtitles, next level good, and then and then the sort of, I don't think it was a great British accent. They could have found a British guy. It seemed like they had somebody imitating a British guy. What do you think of that?
I mean, look, I think the Panthers year in and year out do one of the, if you're power ranking social media teams on their annual production of schedule release videos, I think the Panthers are right up there in the top tier, along with the Chargers. The Titans do an incredible job. They did a Minecraft video this year. But
yes. They had to apologize for their Minecraft video. Ever
since David Tepper sort of took a step back from everything, it's not just the football stuff, but also the admin stuff, the social media stuff. The Panthers have had a little bit more free reign and have emerged from their cocoon, and I enjoy it greatly.
Yeah, the who did the Minecraft? That wasn't the Titans. Chargers. The Chargers had to apologize for it with the Coast Guard.
No, the Colts had to apologize.
Oh, it was the Colts, not the Chargers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
had to apologize. Yeah, I mean, you can tell that weed has been legal in California for a decade by the way that the Chargers operate their social media stuff.
The Titans won it again, though. The schedule, Rizzy, was phenomenal.
Well, and I mean, the thing about the Titans is they had something before too, where it's like going around Nashville and asking people if they could identify the Titans logo.
The logo, so good.
It speaks a lot to the city of Nashville that they can routinely walk downtown, and I guess you always have people from elsewhere there, but they can routinely walk downtown and just find people with absolutely zero knowledge of not just the NFL and of football teams, but the football team that is in the actual city.
It's just the couple of years ago when they did that, it was just so good. Let me ask you this about the schedule itself. The NFL is clearly using the Chiefs, no?
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole generation of, kids right now that find the Chiefs, the sort of bandwagon Chiefs fans, because that happens. There's a whole generation of bandwagon Pats fans. There's a whole, half, my dad's entire generation is Yankees fans, and the Cowboys, you have a generation of Cowboys fans. So you're going to get high ratings for Chiefs games. They are the team that's talked about the most. But, man, I mean, it felt like every single announcement, it's like, you want them on Thanksgiving? Sure. You want them on Christmas? Absolutely. How does Brazil on Friday?
Right.
How does Brazil sound? I mean, they are putting the Chiefs up everywhere. And I mean, it makes sense. They're the Patriots got the same treatment. The Cowboys still get the same treatment because they're going to put popular teams that are good on lots of primetime games. I think it's like the Chiefs have seven primetime games.
7 primetime games.
Yeah, which, I mean, they may realize that this is the final year to cash in on the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift coupling if Kelce retires after this year. And maybe they're trying to catch lightning in a bottle, get a proposal of the game or something like that. I don't know. But, I mean, look, we like to complain about things that people continue, like, when you talk about like internet articles,
right?
People are like, that's just clickbait. You're writing that because it's the Cowboys. It's like, yeah, well, you clicked. So, it's like, oh, the Chiefs are on the screen again. It's like, well, everyone's watching. So the NFL knows what it's doing. The Chiefs are going to be a really good football team. I think if you're interested in betting on the Chiefs, they are minus 110, I think, to win their division, which seems crazy to me. It should be like minus 150 at the lowest.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good look if you're interested.
Who is the second choice? Is it the Chargers? Is it the Broncos?
Yeah, probably the Chargers. The Broncos, did some good stuff. They have a great defense. Bo Nix in year 2 with Sean Payton, and then in theory the Raiders make things tougher with a better coaching staff and an overall roster for just in terms of those interdivisional games to win them so easily. Also, I think we get a week 2 Monday night football game. Jim Harbaugh at Pete Carroll. Like, what's your deal, bro?
Wow!
It gets the return. I mean, these guys, they're more mellow and friendly now. But I mean, they've had a long running beef dating back to Stanford and
college,
USC
absolutely.
When they got in fights. Yeah, I mean, like that's high drama for sure.
I was watching the game where Stanford beat USC out of nowhere. That was like the beginning of the Jim Harbaugh run at Stanford.
And Pete Carroll had no idea it was a rivalry.
Right.
The thing about that division that's interesting too is that the 4 coaches involved are either Hall of Famers or really, really close to being Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
And Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, and Pete Carroll. Like another Super Bowl for Harbaugh or another one for the other guys would probably push him over the top. And they're older now, so they're a lot less bombastic. Not that Andy Reid has necessarily been, a crazy sideline coach in the past, but, you won't get the sort of like crazy coaching speak that you used to get with Harbaugh and Schwartz went against each other. But I guarantee you there is some, while there's a lot of respect, there's a lot of rivalry in that AFC West. I think the coaching matchups in particular there are really, really fascinating.
All right, Will Brinson, a couple more things with him before we let him go. Senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com, at Will Brinson on Twitter. The how do you look at what the Panthers did draft, the release of Jadeveon Clowney? But they did that so I guess they could sign their rookie class. What's your take on where the Panthers are as a group right now?
I think what the Panthers are doing is the building sort of the right way. I really think, I've said this for several years now, that the Panthers got into a problem. And Roy just bogeyed 18, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I was watching it.
10 back of Ryan Gerard, who just eagled 15. Unbelievable. I think the Panthers. I'm locked into football. I think the Panthers. They tried to take this shortcut and believe that they were further ahead in the roster building process than they were, that they were a quarterback away.
Yeah.
Getting Bryce Young puts them over the top. And when you do that and you miss, it is going to set you back. If you do that and you hit, you can accelerate the process, but it's a really risky proposition. They missed in that first year and it set them back because of the draft capital they gave up, and it's put the Bears in a good position. But the Panthers have over the last 2 years really been, outside of maybe drafting like Jonathan Brooks, who could be a great player, but, suffered another torn ACL, have done a pretty good job of trading and acquiring assets and sort of focusing on, okay, what can we do to help Bryce the most? The offensive line drastically improved under Dave Canales in the first year. And then they go out and they go and get Nick Scorton in the second round. You had Princely in the third. So you get those two edge guys with some upside, but like that's a position you really need to invest in. But they also got T-Mac in the first to help out Bryce and to give him another weapon, which he sorely needs. I like the way that they're doing it, sort of taking a much more patient approach. I don't think they're, going to make this over-the-top move in 2025. But if Bryce takes another step forward this year, they're a borderline fringe playoff team that can make some noise.
Because the division is winnable.
Yeah, the division is winnable. And, like, what happens if he takes a big step? All of a sudden you feel like you've got a legitimate chance in 2026 if you can draft well and develop some guys.
Yeah, I don't think if we're talking about, like, stacking the conference 1 through 16, I don't think the Panthers are really going to threaten to be in the top half, but they could win the division. I don't think anybody in that division is better than 10 wins, and I think you could win that division with 9 if things break the right way.
I don't think things need to break the right way. I think if you get 9 wins in that division, you're either if we get an anomaly like the NFC North last year, where there's like 10 wins in third place, then maybe you're out of the playoffs. But if you finish the season with 9 wins in the NFC South, you probably ended up losing on some kind of tiebreaker,
right,
or just like one game out of the playoffs. And like if the Panthers win 9 games this year, Dave Canales is going to be in the running for Coach of the Year, and they should, everybody should feel good about what happened.
All right, final thing for you, Will Brinson. Who has made, do you think, through trades, free agency, whatever, maybe a big jump? Say that again?
Big jump. No, I'm just that was a big I'm just trying to think I don't know that there's been anybody that's blown me away. I mean, I think you could make the case that the Jackson. Here's what I'll go with, and I'm sure I'll be skewered for this at some point. But I think the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know. Like, I think you look around and like scroll through most of the teams in the NFL, and you think to yourself, all right, they made these additions, but it's kind of status quo. I think the Jaguars, with the move to Liam Cohen, massive upgrade to front office just by getting rid of Trent Baalke.
Right.
And it appears their little GM wonderkid is like 24. I think he's like actually 34.
He's uniquely qualified to deal with everything, as he told us.
To go up and get Travis Hunter like that, I thought was just an outstanding move. Really, it's splashy, it's aggressive, but he's just a unicorn player. We've talked about this before. So I think the Jaguars, to me, profile as a team that people probably sleeping on a little bit after they won 4 games last year. If they can keep Lawrence healthy and he performs better under Liam Cohen, I think that's a team that, if the defense can even be just a little below average, is probably a playoff team in the AFC.
Real quick question, because I actually saw some reference to this on social media. If I gave you one or the other, who would you take, Bryce Young or Trevor Lawrence?
I would still take Trevor Lawrence, but I think that I like what I've seen from Bryce Young the last year.
Yeah, I've never been a Lawrence guy. Never. I like
Trevor Lawrence.
I like 6'6", 240. I don't like the quarterback. But I've never been in on Trevor. I think he's very average as a player. But I could be wrong too. We have certainly his second year, I think, was second year. Yeah, second year. He came on strong at the end of that second year, and he just hasn't risen to those levels again. All right, Rory's going to shoot 63 tomorrow, and we'll be fine. So if you have a ticket on Rory, then hang on to it.
I have no Rory. I have Xander this week. So good finish for Xander. Birdie par.
Yeah.
Hope he can pull it off.
I'll be rooting for you. Not really. Will, I thank you very much, and I'll talk to you later.
All right, man. See you, buddy.
Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com.